Hey, I'm AJ the Wonderdog, and last year I read through the Bible in a year. There was a group of guys from church, and we decided this is going to be one of our New Year's resolutions, and we did it. We read through the entire Bible, the exciting parts and the boring parts. And so when they asked if we wanted to do it again this year, well, I said no initially because there were a lot of dry parts that it was tough to get through. And I thought, this time I could maybe focus in on Romans and the stuff that I really found interesting. But the leader kind of came up with this idea that we can read this devotional beforehand that kind of adds some context to the scripture. And so, okay, fine. If everybody else is going to do it, I'll do it too. Peer pressure. And part of the plan this year is that we read a little devotional beforehand that kind of explains or adds some context to what we're reading. For example, Ezra 2. I don't know if you've read it, but it's basically like an Excel spreadsheet. It's just a bunch of names and numbers. And I thought, how does this apply to me today in 2014? But the devotional we read beforehand kind of shed some light on that, and I want to share that with you. It says, naming these individuals and their families bestows on them an implicit approval. Countless tens of thousands of Israelites never returned to the promised land. They were too settled where they were, and the restoration of Jerusalem and the temple, that was of too little importance to warrant such dislocation, packing up and moving, that kind of thing. Their names have been lost. They're of little consequence in the sweep of redemptive history, but these names that are written are remembered. They're written down in sacred scripture. Read them slowly. They call forth our respect and gratitude. And all of a sudden, it hit me like, that totally applies. 90% of people in Central Ontario don't go to church on Sunday morning. They have no affiliation with Jesus or Christianity whatsoever. What are we doing to reach those 90% of people? That's what we're called to do as Christians, right? Is to go and to preach the gospel message. What are we doing? And how often do I let my comfort hinder that mission, right? I like church the way it is. I love my church. I love the music. I love the preaching. I don't want it to change. But if it needed to change, if that's what God was calling us to change something and to do things a little differently, would I be willing to do that, or would I be too settled? Would my name end up in Scripture, or will it be lost and be of little importance in the grand scheme of things? I mean, God's writing a redemptive story. It's going to happen because He's God. He'll make it happen. It's just, will we allow Him to take us out of our comfort zones to be a part of that story? Or will we be like those tens of thousands of Israelites that we're settled where we are and our names are lost when it comes to God's redemptive story? It's a challenge for sure, but hey, it's worth it, right? If we can reach the rest of Central Ontario.